Good evening and what is up, Razorback Nation? We're back with episode 61 of Hogs on the Hill, your go-to podcast for an in-depth dive in all things Arkansas Razorbacks. We're brought to you by our good friends over at Razor Pigs. Looking good never felt so fun. Razor Pigs is the Arkansas-born brand, bringing serious style to the golf course, tailgate, and everywhere in between. From high-quality polos to head-turning hats, they've got what you need to rep the natural state with pride. Found it right here at home and now run by a Razorback-loving family. Razor Pigs is where comfort meets cool. So go hog wild and shop Razor Pigs today at razorpigs.us. Go check them out. You've got a week before the first game, so go order you some new Razorback gear from Razor Pigs, and it should be here by next weekend. And you can be all decked out in the latest and greatest for kickoff next weekend. Guys, how are we this Thursday afternoon?
Bro, we got football in a couple of days. That's how I'm doing.
Exactly. Hobbs?
That's how I'm doing.
Yeah, man, football really to me has already started. We've been doing the college football dynasty for a while now and did the fantasy football draft. So that's kind of when it starts to get in the air and feel it. Of course, you hadn't had a real game kick off yet, but it's in the air and so it's always a good time of the year.
100%. Couldn't agree more. We got a jam-packed episode for you today. We're going to dive into Hobbs' most wanted to talk about position group, the special teams here in a little bit. We had the major announcement today with the SEC coming out and saying starting in 2026, you're going to have 9 conference games. You have an offensive lineman moving to the defensive side of the ball. On top of that 9-game conference schedule, you're going to have 1 non-conference game that is going to be required to be a Power 4 conference opponent. So no more of these easy games late in the season for teams and things like that. I saw somebody post, ironically enough, hinting at Alabama no more playing Mercer in November. So
yeah, school of the blind.
Right. So we'll dive into that. Quick recap from last weekend. Arkansas soccer had a draw with Notre Dame last weekend. So, they had the lead in the first half. Second half, they come back fighting. But ultimately a draw. So, no win-loss there. But we kept with the Fighting Irish pretty good to finish that off. In terms of recruiting news, before we dive into all things football, Arkansas basketball coach Music, the new basketball coach, picks up a big 4-star commitment for the 2026 class in Kaya Prestridge. She committed just earlier today. She's the number 66 overall prospect, number 21 shooting guard, and the number 1 player in Oklahoma. So, she has those ties coming over from Oral Roberts. Probably was recruiting this girl there. And she is the first high school recruit to commit to Arkansas under first-year head coach Kelsey Music, who was hired back in March. She's 6'1", from Oklahoma City, averaged 19.6 points per game as a junior last season, and 4-star by both ESPN and Rivals.
That's nice. That's a lot. The thing with the women's basketball is that they had good talent on that team with Neighbors. It's just, and they had some flashes here and there. They just couldn't ever put it all together at once, right. Whether it was injuries or there was some locker room dramas a couple of years. I think that's one of the reasons why they had that major exodus, is there was some kind of culture problem that just kind of got out of the control, and that's one of the reasons why Neighbors is no longer the coach here. So yeah, that's a very good start. Let's hope she can maybe follow in Calipari's footsteps. Hey, you know what? That's a great asset to have. Is John Calipari is the men's basketball coach at your school, because he's going to go out there and help you recruit too, especially when they come onto campus.
100%. So good things there. Love to see her getting out there and recruiting that top talent. I know that was a question mark about her coming in. Is she going to be able to get out there, recruit some of this top talent in a league like the SEC, where you have your LSU's, your South Carolinas that really dominate every year in year out, and you kind of
Tennessee.
Tennessee that's historically good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough. So, glad to see she's out there making noise, making waves for the 2026 class. So like I said, we had the big announcement today from the SEC in terms of what the future is going to look like for the conference. It's been talked about for years about the potential to going to a 9-game schedule. Well, the future is now starting next season. As the SEC is implementing a 9-game conference schedule beginning in 2026, reinforcing the SEC's position as the nation's leader in competitive excellence and fan excitement. So kind of what that means, the SEC will continue with a single standings, no divisional structure. So it's going to maintain just the SEC, no East-West, as they did away with that a few years ago. Each school will play 3 annual opponents focused on maintaining many traditional rivalries. So kind of like we have this year and going forward, 3 schools you're going to play every year, supposed to be based off traditional rivalries, and then each team's remaining 6 conference games will rotate among the rest of the conference. So between the 13 schools left, you will rotate between those with your final 6. And each team will face every other SEC program at least once every 2 seasons, and every opponent home and away in 4 years. So they're getting it more spread out where you're going to see more teams consistently. Before we dive into some specifics, what's your guys' initial reactions to this? I mean, kind of thought this was coming, and that announcement was made a week before football season gets kicked off. So your guys' initial thoughts?
It's about time. I'm sick and tired of having the hardest schedule in the country, year in and year out, over and over and over, playing all these teams, same team. When's the last time we played Vanderbilt? When's the last time we played Kentucky? I'm so tired of it. So it's about time something changes. Here's the whole issue with college football. It's constantly changing. So even this right here, you can get excited about it, but it may change again because, it was just a few weeks ago. They're talking about Clemson and North Carolina coming to the SEC. So what if they come? That changes the whole dynamic of the ruling they just made. So this college football is a revolving door. It's to the point where you got teams in baseball joining the Pac-12 that don't even make any sense graphically. So it's kind of like it's a revolving door. So, we going to 16-team playoff here in the next year or two? That could change again too. It's just it's a constantly changing thing. So I wouldn't get too comfortable with anything. Yeah, it's cool to hear it, but we'll see how long it stays.
Here's the thing that I'm gonna counter with you. And I agree with you too. I'm glad that this is happening. I feel like we're kind of in the minority with most Razorback fans, because what you see is that extra game and you think, oh, our schedule's already hard. It's just going to get harder. Well, everybody else in the SEC is going to get harder as well. So, you're still on the same level as everyone else. But here's what I want to counter your point is that, yes, everything's changing, and in the landscape of college football right now, everything is ever changing. It's constantly changing. What this does is it actually retains something. It's the first time in a while that a change has been done that actually retains something of value or tradition, something like that. Because what's the alternative to this? You take our schedule that we had this year, flip everybody except for freaking Missouri, and you'll play everybody else that you didn't play this year or the year before. And there is no tradition in that. You wouldn't play Texas, you wouldn't play LSU, you wouldn't play Ole Miss, you wouldn't play Texas A&M, you wouldn't play anybody except for that that forced rivalry with Missouri. So what this does is actually kind of this change, quote unquote change, actually gets us back to, or gets us to where we're gonna keep that tradition of playing those teams, and really that's what makes the SEC great. Like not having Alabama and Auburn, and then also Auburn and Georgia. Like I think those two games should be played every single year, right? So, and then Alabama and Tennessee and Alabama and Auburn, those games should be played every single year. So I love it. Like for the game of football and for the SEC in general, I love it a lot. For Arkansas, yeah, it does kind of suck. You have to play an extra game. But this is the first, one of the only times that my football fandom, overrides my Razorback fandom, I guess.
Fair enough. I mean, it is one thing to look at it that way. I mean, you'll see some of these teams play more consistently and things like that. Now the real question is, with that second thing I talked about is going to be key and could really hit a nerve with some Arkansas fans is each school will play 3 annual opponents, with the key words here being maintaining many traditional rivalries. All right, what does that mean for Arkansas? All right, more than likely, you would think Arkansas is going to play Texas each year. All right, big-time rivalry, historic rivalry. Okay. Unfortunately, that means you're probably going to be playing Missouri every year, a forced rivalry that, a lot of people, like we were talking about before the show, Austin, you said, you have become just hating them because of how it's been the past few years playing them.
Right.
All right, that leaves the third one. Who is that going to be? You've got some options there. Ole Miss. Historically, it's a good matchup between the two schools. It's always good, fun games to watch. I would also say it would be tough for me to see where we leave LSU out. I know that's been a debated topic on both sides, where Arkansas sees that kind of as a rivalry game, but LSU doesn't. And so
I don't care what they see it as. They can see it when they're number one and see us coming on that schedule. They're going to see something.
Right. And so that's the real question is when you look through the SEC, not only but Arkansas, but who's going to be those 3 opponents that each team gets paired up with that are going to be consistent. You're like, all right, when the schedule comes out each year, I know I'm playing Texas, Missouri, and whoever else.
So, like, with me, I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit before. If you're playing Texas and they're going to give you Missouri because no one else wants them, that leaves probably here's the 3 that probably leaves. It's LSU and Texas A&M. Those are kind of even to me, and a little bit less likely Ole Miss. And I think, like, I wouldn't really like the Ole Miss game to be that game, just because, I mean, they have great games. It's just, I don't have that type of hate towards them like I do LSU or Texas A&M. But if I had to choose, I'd probably do LSU. That if that was the last game. Now, I kind of proposed it to you guys, but I would love for Arkansas to play Texas and Texas A&M or LSU as the second game, and then that third game be against Oklahoma, because I believe Oklahoma and Arkansas could have a great rivalry if they just played, and they don't play, and they historically have only played a couple of times, which doesn't make sense because they're like the second closest, Power 4 team to Arkansas or to the campus. So it does. I think if they had the chance, that could be a great rivalry.
So I think it's more set in stone. I don't think Texas is a given that they're going to be an annual game. I think the set in stone games would be Missouri and LSU. The third one is a question mark between the schools you've already talked about, because I think when you play for a trophy, you're automatically going to get a game. We play for the Golden Boot. You don't play for a trophy when you play A&M or Texas. So that's
Well, technically.
Well, I mean, you kind of had a trophy with A&M. You had the Southwest Classic.
Yeah, but are they still going to do that, being out of Jerry World?
I don't know. We'll have to see this year.
So, I don't know, but I think that it's LSU and Missouri set in stone at this point. I don't think you can take the Golden Boot away.
Right, and that's what I was going to say with part of it. It's a trophy game. Historically, up until mid 2010s, Arkansas and LSU was Thanksgiving weekend every year.
Yeah,
and then they decided to change it, and so
well, move it back.
Exactly, move it back. And so that's interesting. I mean, it's like some of the transplant Texans say 9 conference games, a new Arkansas trophy game incoming, or OU versus Arkansas Battle Line West trophy game. So, a lot of opportunities there, but that's going to be interesting to see when that announcement comes out as far as who's each school's 3 games, and then we'll see how the rotation plays out. But that's one thing. Like Hobbs' point, he mentioned earlier, how frequently? When's the last time we played Kentucky? When's the last time we played Vanderbilt? When's the last time we played South Carolina? I think South Carolina was actually 2 seasons ago, maybe. Yeah. But like those teams that Arkansas doesn't see that often. Florida, I know we played them a couple seasons ago, but up until then, you played them every 4 years, maybe, if you're lucky. And so, I will say Arkansas has gotten lucky and has had the had the luxury of not playing in Alabama or Georgia 2 straight seasons. So, which is kind of nice. But you'll start seeing more of that rotation of Arkansas start playing Oklahoma, or you will have these other schools that we don't see as frequently. Now it's going to be kind of incorporated into this new 9-game schedule. So Hogballer says, Hogball Burner says, going from a 6-6 program to a 5-7 program. I'm so excited. That is the unfortunate part about a 9-game schedule. Well,
it depends on who that other team is.
Right.
Is it Vandy?
Is it Kentucky?
Oh, you may be a 7-5. Or is it Kentucky? Get Vandy and Kentucky on the schedule at the same time. That's not bad.
Right.
But I got to go back to what you were saying, Hobbs. If they don't put Texas as one of those, I will head to Hoover, Alabama, and pick it.
To Hoover, Alabama. I mean, they could be.
That'll be ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, because when you think about their rivalries in this conference, you get Oklahoma's a given game, and then really Texas A&M maybe and us, they don't really have a strong rivalry with anybody else in this conference.
Right.
So it's more than likely it's us. So yeah, like you said, Ole Miss, how much I can't stand them. I don't think it's really like a lock-in place. We don't play for a trophy. There's not like a solid rivalry there. We can't stand each other, but and it's always a good game, of course, except for last year. But yeah.
I mean, because you look at like through the SEC, you see a lot of teams that have those big time trophy games that actually play on rivalry week, like your Alabama, Auburn, Ole Miss, Mississippi State.
Yeah, the
Egg Bowl. So, you have a lot of teams like that, but then it's like you have Arkansas where during rivalry we get to play Missouri, but all the Arkansas fans want it to be LSU because historically that's what it's been.
Right.
And so going forward, it's going to be interesting to see how things line out. But another caveat of this whole announcement today, another part of this that in terms of the SEC schedule, all right, we know here we're playing 9 games. That leaves 3 non-conference games. Well, now one of those non-conference games is going to be required to be what is, in quotes, one additional high-quality non-conference from the Atlantic Coast, Big 10, Big 12, or Notre Dame. It literally says ACC, Big 10, Big 12, or Notre Dame. I get it
Yeah.
since they're independent school, but the fact that you list ACC,
Or Notre
Big
Dame.
10, Big 12, or Notre Dame.
Well, we would
So
qualify.
I guess like
Yeah, we qualify this year already. So
yeah.
And next year, because they're on the schedule next year. So
Yeah. So like I guess Oregon State doesn't count in that.
no,
And Washington State doesn't.
no.
That's dumb. Yeah.
and
I don't
so
know.
now
Like,
that leaves you with 2 non-conference games that are going to be your Alabama A&Ms, your Arkansas States, that type of game. So now, as much as we hate to say it, it's your quote unquote cupcake or give me games is reduced by 1. So not to say that Arkansas had the best of luck with those of the past few years, but that's tough. I mean, it's like Transplant Texans said, the SEC office has said something to the effect of them wanting Texas and Arkansas to meet yearly in all sports. They know that game brings big viewerships and puts butts in seats. So it's like, that's why I kind of lean towards Texas, Missouri being the 2 for sure games, just because the rivalry with Missouri and then the whole historically piece with Texas and it being a big thing.
My bad. We don't play Notre Dame there until 2028. We don't play
right.
at
Yeah.
Notre Dame until then.
Yeah. It's like Hog Baller says, we play Utah next year.
Yeah.
That
I think that'll be a fun game.
Yeah.
Should be.
They're always one of those tough teams too.
Yeah. And what's his name? Jackson came from Utah too, right?
Mhm.
So that's pretty cool thing there. But yeah, going back west and going in the mountains, if they can pull what they did against BYU a couple of years ago, that would be great.
You read my mind. That's why I was going to bring up the BYU game. But Petrino's playbook jumps in here and says, Yurchek's statement, word for word, hosting 5 Power 4 conference games every season at Razorback Stadium will be an incredible opportunity. Confirms no more games in Little Rock, in my opinion. I kind of would assume that too. And, honestly, I think that's probably good right now. I've said it before. I think, until Little Rock decides to, pony up and, upgrade and maybe make the stadium a little bit nicer, it's just tough to play there. Like, nobody wants to go. Something's always breaking. You have no cell service there. I think the big thing last year was the water didn't work in the press box. Like, it's not a good look, especially when, like, yes, I get we have big donors and a lot of Razorback fans down in Little Rock and a lot of kids come from the Central Arkansas area, so they get to go back home and play in front of their family. But, like, if that's really a case and it's that big of a deal and important to the city of Little Rock, let's maintain the stadium a little bit. Let's make improvements. Let's not run out of water for a game that's in August and everybody's dying of dehydration here. So
yeah, and it's just like, I understand why wanting to play that game down there is a thing, and spreading out the Razorback throughout the state of Arkansas, and it's one of the reasons why Arkansas is such a I use the term here differently, like powerhouse fan base, is because we have a whole state that's all one fan base basically, and you don't really have that, and it's a big talking point. Right. And part of that reason is because we do go play that game in Little Rock, right? But at this point in time, I mean, everybody's got TVs, everybody's got cable, they can watch this game whenever they want, so it's not as big of a deal. And having that lineage, passing down the fandom for Razorbacks it's just going to keep going on. So it's becoming outdated, just like War Memorial Stadium is, right? The game itself is becoming outdated, and the stadium is becoming outdated. And both of those together, it just doesn't make sense to play there anymore.
Right. And I think it falls along the lines of, how the Arkansas A&M game's been in Dallas a few years. The first few years, oh, that's cool. We're getting to play in Dallas and Cowboy Stadium and things like that.
Yeah.
But, it gets old. Like, and I wouldn't necessarily hate playing there on a yearly basis, but maybe rotate your opponents or something. Like the same game, the same opponent year after year. it's frustrating. And that's like Transplant Texan says here, War Memorial Stadium is the reason there will be no more Little Rock games. Woo Pig 00 here says, get on the ball and make it happen, Little Rock, in terms of like the upgrades. Angel, War Memorial had a lot of magic back in the 70s and 80s, not a ton here recently. Woo Pig 00 says, I'm a Little Rock guy born and raised. Hate to see the game down here go, but totally understand it. See, it's not just quote unquote, I guess, the Northwest Arkansas people saying, oh, I don't want to have the game down in Little Rock. Like, perfect example. Woo Pig 00 said he's born and raised in Little Rock. He understands why the game's getting moved. And, I think if you had a nice stadium, upgraded a little bit, it wouldn't be near as bad, but they don't. And, another point here by Petrino's playbook. If the donors have such deep pockets, renovate the stadium over the next 3 to 5 years, make it really nice since Arkansas State football is hosted there anyway. So dump a little money into it.
Yeah. Like you can still keep the bones of being like one of the reasons why it's so loud in that arena is in that stadium is because of the concrete, right? You had a dude from Mississippi State. What was his name? Leach. Talk about how that was one of the loudest places he's ever coached. And it's because of that type of stuff. And if you just added on to it, I swear, if you added another 10,000 seats to it, upgraded some of the facilities, made it easier for people to go and park and, get stuff, dude, that would be a hell of a venue. It would. And you wouldn't have all these people saying, well, we shouldn't go down there to play a game. Well, if they had a venue that was worth playing a game in, right, it would be great. So yeah, I'm totally down for that. If they could spend the next 5 years making some great additions to that place, I wouldn't mind seeing it go back down.
Right, because there is that historical aspect that would be cool to see it brought back to life, if you will, and things like that. So I understand it. Angel says, wait till you go to Memphis. It's under construction. We saw that in the bowl game.
Stupid game.
Yeah.
Joe says, North Little Rock and Little Rock don't want to do the upgrades to their stadiums. Travs might leave. Dude, that's another point, too. The Arkansas Travelers, that's the minor league team down there, they're not necessarily going to be there forever either because they're not upgrading that stadium either. We all know from when Arkansas plays down there how bad it is with TV coverage and everything like that. So it's not
nothing leaves faster. Nothing leaves faster than a minor league baseball team. I promise you that. They will pack up and go in a heartbeat.
So, things to think about there, like we said, if we could have nicer facilities and things like that down in Little Rock, it would be cool to maintain that game. Maybe make it every other year, something like that. But yeah, Transplant Texan says War Memorial Stadium should focus on hosting marquee high school games and try to land a bowl. There's got to be 2, 5, and 7 teams looking for a postseason game.
Yeah. So, having a bowl in Little Rock would be something. Like it's a city that can hold that type of crowd. It really is. So they have a bowl game in Memphis for crying out loud. So I don't know why they couldn't do something in Little Rock. I think that'd be neat.
Right. I'm just saying, said the funding to upgrade War Memorial Stadium is being blocked at the state level by the U of A. I wouldn't doubt it either. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me in terms of maybe looking at like, hey, if we block the funding, we'll move the thing back up here, type thing. Yeah. Woo Pig 00 says, you guys remember the Arkansas Rim Rockers that played in the stadium that's had a bazillion names? So
I do not.
This is cool. I'm going to bring this up just because it pertains to me. Being a little selfish here. Angel says, did you guys see the Jeff Foxworthy? And it's a video that he's talking about Derrick's. That's my hometown. So Derrick's is in the running for the T-Mobile Friday Night Lights stadium upgrade. I don't know if y'all seen that commercials by T-Mobile and stuff like that. Well, so a little history here. So Derek's has one of the oldest grass fields in the state. It was built in 1912, and since then has only been upgraded once.
Wow.
So they've already qualified and won a $5,000 grant, but now they're trying to, push the hype and get them in the running for that. I think it's $500,000 upgrade that would go towards, the field, concessions, locker rooms, all that stuff. Like there's an initial video that's on the booster page that they talk about where the coach says, our field slopes 8 feet going down one way. He said, when it rains, that side stays wet. He is like, I know that. The opponents don't necessarily know that. So, that's good for us. But, things like that. So, I'm glad Angel brought that up. That's really cool to talk about. But yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And the thing is, like these high school stadiums are getting.
I was gonna say I even saw today they had Darren McFadden made a video for supporting the whole move to have T-Mobile do this.
Oh, that's cool. I gotta look it up. But yeah, no, the stadiums for these high schools, like they keep building newer ones and newer ones. They just get crazier and crazier. And I mean, for Arkansas standards, like if you go to my home school, in Siloam, that stadium is legit now. We didn't have that. We had the rinky-dink one over by the state line. Now this one is like, it's like elevated off the field, and you can sit on the concourse, and I mean, it's legit. And it's kind of crazy how much money there is in football, even down at the high school level. You know what I'm saying? Because I understand like smaller schools like Dirk's and like heck, even Gravett has a nice one. Like, I don't know if you guys have been to that stadium. That stadium's nice too. But for the most part, there's just so much money in the sport. It's ridiculous.
Right.
And you go into Texas, I mean, they got bigger stadiums.
They got college side stadiums for a lot of the high schools.
It's insane. And they fill them too.
Exactly. So Joe says, off topic, have it on good authority that Aloy is getting promoted to high A next week. Hobbs?
Yeah, we were going to jump into that later on about what our pro Hogs have been doing. He's not the only one that's crushing the ball right now. But yeah, he looks really good. Looks like he's way above the rest of the players. So yes, I would not be surprised if he's in high A, if not double A, to start the year next year.
Yeah. So as we continue on, it's going to be fun to see what the schedule holds for next season as we go to this 9-game schedule, additional non-conference opponents. It has to be another Power 4 conference or Notre Dame. And so keep a lookout for that. When we know more, we'll let you guys know more. Staying on football, it came out just a day or two ago that Arkansas offensive lineman Keyshawn Blackstock will now be Arkansas defensive lineman Keyshawn Blackstock. This move was made just the other day when with the terms of that Pittman said, well, David Oki might not be available for the first game due to some injury issues. And we already talked about how thin that room is to begin with. Then you have David Oki going to miss the first game. Well, now you move Keyshawn Blackstock over to the defensive line, which I'm fine with. We knew how questionable that was for the offensive line. We're like, okay, well, maybe he made improvements, that he was running with the ones at the beginning of camp, but now it sounds like that job's Colby Branham's, that he's going to be the starting left guard, and they're still playing with the right guard, and they're still playing with the right tackle position. But your guys' thoughts on, how big of a move is that for this team, and how hard do you think it is to switch from the mentality of being on the offensive line, trying to protect a guy, protect the quarterback, to the flip side of it of now you're trying to go after and tackle the quarterback?
Okay, so I hinted at this before the podcast started. And this is not knowing a whole lot of stuff about him, like playing defense or anything like that. But I know one of the problems that he had while he was on the offensive line last year is that his footwork was not good. And I just don't see that translating to a position where you have to be more athletic. You know what I'm saying? Like I understand the need to have someone up there that's big and strong and that can take up gaps, and take up blocks and do his job right. But at the same time, whenever you have to do those, whenever it's a pass play, is he going to be able to make any kind of pressure? I don't know. I'm hoping so. And I'm not trying to the dog on the kid. I don't know. I just don't know. And I know what I've seen in the past on the offensive line. And I just don't know how that translates to the defensive line. Now, here's the thing also. Whenever you're pass setting, you don't know what the defensive line's going to do, right? You don't know if he's going to go inside, outside, spin, rip. You don't know what the pass move is going to do, and you have to read and react. When you're on the defensive line, you can go, right? And you get to choose what you want to do. So maybe having that thinking part of the brain off and just going out there and being an athlete, maybe he might do it. I don't know, but I'm just a little bit cautious about it. So I don't know. He's not going to start by any means, but he's definitely going to be that fourth guy that comes in. Yeah, he's going to play. He'll play. He's not going to start. And he's going to play because we don't have that depth, right? If we had a good depth, I don't know if he would play.
Right.
But he might be good. So we'll see.
Yeah, and luckily, though, you look at it, he brings decent size for the D line, 6'5", 320. So.
Right. Yeah, he's got good size, and he's strong as an ox, too. I mean, like, whenever they played, I don't know, I say this all the time, but it's just Arkansas Pine Bluff. But whenever he played against Arkansas Pine Bluff, he looked like a beast, and especially when he pulled and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit optimistic because of the way he could be athletic and run whenever he pulled. But that footwork problem, it just has me in, this block. So hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah, this reminds me of high school football. You're at practice, you're trying to practice it on offense, and then, offensive coach gets mad at you like, I'm done with you. Get over there. And defense coordinator's like, hold it. Hey, come here real quick. I want to try something. Go play right there for a snap for me. And that's kind of it feels like that's what's been done here. That they've kind of grown tired of the mistakes continuing to happen with the footwork, and they're going to try to find a spot for him. And like you said, the injury doesn't help at all. But I mean, it doesn't hurt to try this against Alabama A&M. They really don't.
Right.
So, let's see what we got. Let's see how you do. Not saying it's going to last. Don't know what it's going to look like, but he may be able to move some people. We'll see.
Right. It's like Transplant Text said here, Blackstock is off the offensive depth chart, celebrating hands. Blackstock is on the defensive depth chart, facepalm. So
he ain't that bad. I'm telling you, he's got some good, especially in the run game. He's a good blocker. Just that pass game was not up to par. And I think he did get better over this offseason. We just don't know because we didn't get to see it in the spring. And you don't really get anything on it for a video. So he may have worked on it. He may be a little bit quicker on his feet too. Who knows? Right? So I think everyone should go in this open-minded. Don't hate on the kid before the season even starts. But I am still a little bit cautious.
Yeah, kind of to what you said, Austin. I'm just saying, jumped in here and said, the Blackstock move could pay off. His problem was that he struggled going backwards in pass protection, but he was a good run blocker going forward. Luckily on defense, It's just going forward. I'm just saying, as usual, Austin, you're spot on when it comes to the offensive line.
Hey, by the way, it's not just going forward on defense, because I've seen more than once where Travis Williams has put a defensive tackle in coverage, which is insane to me. But I've seen it I don't know if they'll do it with Blackstock. Let's hope not. But that may happen. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Transplant Texas said Austin, the thinking part of the brain turned off.
Hey, it didn't mean it like that. I mean, like the part where you can go out there and you can just like
you're not guessing what your opponent's going to do.
Right. Like you're not having to think about it. You're just reacting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Transplant Texan said that was not a facepalm peeking through one eye emoji. So fair enough. It's going to be interesting to look at and watch, but hopefully, that David Oki injury is not long-term, because I think the coaches were liking him during camp, the unfortunate injury. Hopefully it's just a minor thing that can get over by week 1, and then by week 2 we're talking about him working back in the rotation and seeing what that looks like. And like we said, who knows, this Blackstock move could pay off. Like I'm just saying, and Austin said, like, you don't know. He's got the great size. Maybe he comes out there and that could be a sneaky good move by this coaching staff. Knowing he's not really going to play on the offensive line with the depth that we have there. So let's move him over where you have a chance to get some reps in, be in the rotation, and get some playing time. So, probably benefits on both sides in terms of for the player with Blackstock and for this coaching staff and depth on the defensive side of the ball.
Here's the worst outcome possible is that he sucks, and then David Oki comes back week 2. Blackstock moves back to the offensive line, and Arkansas still wins against Alabama A&M. The good, the positive part of this is that you could really add to the depth of that defensive tackle spot, right? Going from 4 to 5, that is a big jump, because that's what you want. You want 5 guys rotating in and out. And having 4, they're going to get tired, especially when one of those guys weighs 380 pounds. Like, they're going to get tired. So having 5 guys there instead of 4, it's very nice. So
right, exactly.
It's win-win to me.
Yeah. I mean, if he's not taking away anything from your offensive line, what does it hurt? Fair points there. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Those 2 news that came out today in terms of conference schedule and then Blackstock being moved. Let's jump into our position preview now. This is Hobbs' favorite position group. They're about to talk about special teams, especially the kickers. As I said,
you think Hobbs is a soccer fan or something.
I just know how valuable this position group is, whether people believe it or not. They change the outcome of games.
Hobbs in the football.
I do like me some World Cup though. That's enjoyable.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
And so as we jump in, we'll dive into the kickers right away. So obviously, I think Scott Fountain said there's going to be and has been a battle, but I think a majority of Arkansas fans know the outcome is going to be freshman kicker Scott Starzik is going to be your starting kicker this season. 5-star prospect, according to Cole's Kicking, rated the number 1 kicker in the class. He committed to Arkansas after we lost. I think it was like a top 5 kicker in the class, and then we turn around and get the number 1 kicker in the class. And he attended the Woodlands High School in Woodlands, Texas. Has come in, has done pretty well for Arkansas, and I think there's some high expectations on this kid. 5'10", 172. Does that sound very similar in terms of size and body type to somebody else we know? I mean, a lot of pressure, so hopefully one Scott Starzik can handle that pressure.
Yeah, I mean, he's the biggest kicking recruit we've ever gotten on campus. And, that's saying a lot whenever you got 2 guys kicking in the NFL right now. So it's tremendous. I think that, you may have some growing pains in the freshman season. I don't, you never know what a kid's going to be going through. If he's having to go out there and kick a game-winning kick, an SEC game on the road or something, like even at home, you're nervous as all get out. So, but I think he's just going to get better and better. We got him for at least 3 years if he don't transfer, which I don't see this kid doing. So I remember last year when he committed, and I had Iowa fans just all over my page, like mad. I'm like, why are Iowa fans on my page right now? And apparently, they thought they were going to get them. So I think he chose us. He chose us over Iowa, Michigan, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, schools like that. So I think it's fun, man. I'm looking forward to it. Sometimes, I mean, you don't want to think this, but I'm just like third and long. I might be like, hey, let's just get some yardage here and kick this thing, because this guy is legit, and I think you're going to see maybe him hit a close to a 60-yarder at this point in the season. So he's got a tremendous leg.
Yeah, 100%. And we saw how Arkansas struggled last year and kind of the year before that after losing Cam Little. I mean, you had a consistent kicker like Cam Little for all those years. And then you lose it and you have to go out and find a replacement, and you find it's not that easy to replace a guy like that. And so, like we said, a lot to live up to for a guy coming in, freshman, high expectations, expected to be the starter day one. It's a lot of pressure for a young man.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think about it. We were really spoiled. Arkansas was really spoiled when it came to kickers for about 3 years with Cam Little and then also Bates, who is now out there, kicking field goals for the Detroit Lions.
Doesn't miss.
He doesn't miss like at all. And I mean, he's worked his way from being a literal like bricklayer back to being in the NFL, right? And that's because he was our kickoff specialist.
Right.
We had those two type of kickers in our school at the same time, and we couldn't get them both kicking field goals. That just blows my mind. But having a guy like Starks here, it makes me feel a lot better about the kicking. And I hope we do not have to use him much, right? One of the big things is my hope for this team. One of the things that I hope they do better is the red zone efficiency. The last year they were not good. They were like 70th or 80th in the country in red zone efficiency. So they need to go down there and score some touchdowns to play in this league, especially with the questions that I think we're going to have on defense. I don't know. I keep going back and forth with myself how I feel about them. They got to score some touchdowns. So hopefully we don't use them a whole lot, to be honest with you. But when we do, he needs to hit those, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're going to have a guy who's pretty, good, at least on the practice field. When he goes out there and he has like 100,000 LSU fans screaming at him, let's see how he does. You know what I'm saying? Cam Little, he had just this, what do the kids say nowadays? Aura, right? About him, where he could just go out there and do whatever. And he literally did the gritty on LSU after hitting a game-winning field goal. I mean, like, as a kid, that's 100. Right. He's like 5'10", scrawny white boy going out there and doing the gritty on LSU after beating them with a game-winning field goal. Like, I don't know how you have the guts to do that. That's crazy to me. And now he's out there kicking 70-yarders in the NFL. So if he's got that kind of guts, then Arkansas has struck gold twice.
Yeah. We'll have to see. Another guy to talk about that more than likely will be Arkansas's kickoff guy is Charlie Von Der Meeden, redshirt freshman, 6'1", 179. A guy that I really thought we'd see more of last year. He was rated as a 5-star kicker and the number 12 kicker in the class in 2 years ago. And that 2024 class was a freshman last year, kicked off 3 times for an average of 62 yards a kickoff. And Tally had a pair of touchbacks in the season opening win against Pine Bluff. Somebody's got to kick off, so it's either going to be Charlie or another guy by the name of Blake Ford, who we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah, it is kind of strange when you get these guys who come in here with a lot of hype and stars and all that stuff, and they just don't pan out. But that happens. And at the same time, we've never let him kick a field goal in a game. So he could, like we talked about this with Matt Jones, he may be the Matt Jones of kickers who sucks in practice, but goes out there and is a gamer and can handle the pressure like no one else and kick field goals like crazy. So he hasn't had
Matt Jones kicks field goals?
No. And I'm using an analogy, okay? I know that's a big word for Hobbs, but it means like. I'm just joking. Sorry, that was kind of a douche move. But no, I'm being serious. I think if he had a chance, he might be able to show some stuff up, and that's more or less what I'm more mad about last year is that they didn't put. I think it's Shipley, right, the second guy. That they didn't move him there first before the other guy got hurt, and then they didn't try the freshman. So,
yeah, we'll see. The final guy to talk about in terms of kickings for kickoffs and things like that is Blake Ford, redshirt junior, 6'1", 223, transferred from North Texas. But if his name sounds familiar, it's because he spent 2 seasons at Arkansas before transferring to North Texas. He was a redshirt, or he's a true freshman in 2022, where he redshirted. 2023 as a redshirt freshman, he appeared in 3 games, kicking off in games against Western Carolina, A&M, and Missouri, and then transferred to North Texas. Appeared in all 12 games as the team's kickoff specialist. He had 46 touchbacks, which averaged 59.6% of his kickoffs were touchbacks. And he finished 33rd in the FBS. Came out of Arlington Lamar High School down in Arlington. So a guy that was a Razorback and is now a Razorback once again. That it honestly might be between him and Charlie Vandermeeden for that kickoff specialist job.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you which one even has the edge at this point. Probably the guy that has the most experience. That would be me. But I really couldn't tell you much about him. Yeah.
Well, they'll probably get a lot of both some chances in the first game. I assume we're going to be kicking off a lot, so they'll probably both get some shots to see what they can do, and that's probably when the job will be won. Honestly,
and that's probably true. With the amount of times. Knock on wood, we should be kicking off next Saturday. Then, plenty of opportunities for these guys to come out there and show their leg and show what they got in terms of kickoff. So, as we flip to the punting job, I think this one is all clear and, as set in stone as you can be, with one guy by the name of Devin Bale, the guy that is 100%. Pittman, one of Pittman's favorite players. Not saying he has favorites, but if he did, this guy is top of the list as much as he likes to talk about. Devin Bale. He's a redshirt senior, 6'3", 205 from California. He is on a 2025 Ray Guy Award preseason watch list. Played in all 13 games last season, punted 41 times, registering a 45.2 yard punting average with 11 punts down inside the opponent's own 20 and 11 punts of 50 plus yards. He ranked in the top 20 nationally in punting average and punted 4 times while having 3 50 plus yard punts and pinning Texas Tech inside its own 20 twice during the bowl game.
Yeah, so we're right here, right now. August 21st, this is the start of Devin Bell's Heisman campaign because that dude is he's electric and he's got a little bit of spunkiness to him too. I don't know if you ever watched anytime he does pin a guy, pin a team between the 20s or, the 5-yard line or so, the dude just goes bananas. I love it. Plus he's just really good. Right? You kind of went over his stats already. I think just more time out there on the field, he's going to get better. And he's one of the underrated assets on this football team. Having a guy that can do that consistently is just it's worth more than gold at this point.
Right, especially when you can, flip the field and pin a team deep. If you have an unfortunate drive, that is, like you said, is an asset every time.
I mean, you look at the last couple of years, one of the reasons why Arkansas has had such a bad time on defense, not necessarily as much last year, but especially the year before when we went 4-8, a lot of that had to do with because Arkansas either turned it over and gave the other team a short field, or special teams sucked some way and gave them a short field. Giving a team a short right. Giving teams short fields in the SEC is just giving them a touchdown, basically. So that's having someone that can consistently flip that field is awesome.
Yeah, hopefully we won't be punting much this year, but that's just not reality. So
true.
Good to have a punter that can do his job.
Yeah.
If we're not kicking field goals and we're not punting, we're doing a good job.
That's true.
Exactly. Following that up, a guy that's a true freshman this year that could be the successor to Devin Bale, Gavin Rush, freshman, 6'3", 207 from Franklin, Tennessee, a 5-star prospect, according to Cole's Kicking, number 5 punter in the class. Another guy, highly rated, chose Arkansas over Air Force, Army, Western Kentucky, so some service schools in there. But, it's always good to get a good punter. And, as much as we like to hate on Scott Fountain, at least he can recruit decently well. We've seen that with some kickers and things like that. They just need to be able to form these kickers and punters. So got a young guy coming in here, can sit and learn some things from Devin Bale, and who knows, maybe he's the next great Arkansas punter next season.
Yeah, and, I understand some of the hate on Scott Fountain. I do, but at the same time, those players still have to go out there and perform. I don't think, like, if you're talking about fakes and the stuff that he actually creates and is part of the, the playbook, he does well. The punts, the formations, all that junk, it's good. The one thing that he's had trouble with is getting these players to do their job and to get them lined up correctly. Right. Because I don't know how many times that we've had delay of games or what do you call it? Not false starts, but not too many men, not enough men on this. Yeah, illegal formation where you don't have enough guys on the line of scrimmage, stuff like that. And that's what's frustrating because those are completely avoidable if you have a team that knows what they're doing. That's where you get into the criticisms, but I don't think it's enough to be as much as what people do. I think he's a pretty darn good coach and he's a good recruiter for sure. Yes, sir.
Said, Austin, preach it.
Hey, I'm running on fumes, and whenever I do that, it just goes out 90 miles an hour. So
there you go. And then finally, one other guy to talk about that we've already talked about, but is going to be talked about again because he could play a huge role for Arkansas this year. It's one Cam Shanks. We talked about him in the wide receiver episode, transferred in from UAB. He's going to be Arkansas's punt return, more than likely kickoff specialist this year. And at UAB as a redshirt freshman in 2024, we kind of talked about it before, but he led the nation in punt return yards, punt return average, and punt return touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, the dude did not come here to play wide receiver. He's going to play wide receiver, and I think he's going to do pretty good too. I got myself hyped again when I went back and watched his highlights. The dude is I think he's underrated. But he came here to bring back punts. That is why they went out and got him, because he's the best punt returner in the country, according to the numbers. We'll see how he does in the SEC, but we say that with every transfer, right? But yeah, I mean, the dude, he's electric. I don't know what else to tell you. He's quick, and he's kind of like the Dennis Johnson without all the muscle, if that makes sense. Because I remember Dennis Johnson being the short little guy, quick, and that's what Cam Shanks does. Like he could just hide behind people and then cut, and he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have a punt returner that knows what he's doing, that's capable. That's a weapon. It really is. When you got a guy that that can change the game, take it to the house anytime he gets the ball. My question is, like, how many times are they going to try to kick it away from him, kick out of bounds, and they end up shanking the punt? I mean, it's just a huge advantage to have. So I'm excited to have it. We haven't really had that kind of threat back there since Joe Adams. So it's really nice to have that, because, man, I can't tell you some of the best years I can think of is having the kickoff returner threat like Felix Jones, Dennis Johnson, and the punt return threat. Like these change the game instantly. So it's exciting to have this guy.
Right. And it's one of those things too. It's like all it takes is one. He takes one to the house. The whole nation or the whole conference is going to be aware. And like you said, Hobbs, how much are they going to risk it by trying to punt it to this guy?
And I'll give you this much.
Don't you put those horns up on the screen?
No, I didn't mean to do that much. I'll say this: he takes one to the house opening night, guaranteed.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. I really wouldn't either, because I mean, like Satania took one back last year.
That's what I'm saying.
UAPB, yeah,
they got what called back, didn't it? So
yeah, it got called back. But I would put money on those odds there for to see Cam Shanks house one week 1. So, but he is a Field Steel preseason first team All SEC watch list, the Sporting News first team All America punt return list, the Jet Award preseason watch list. If you remember, that's the award that Joe Adams won back in his day. So, there's a lot of high expectations and comparisons, of Cam Shanks to being an electric elite punt returner. And we're going to put that to test this season, especially once SEC play starts. But it's going to be fun to watch. Like Austin said, or both of you guys said, it's been a long time since we've had a true threat back in the punt returning room, and especially the kickoff returns, that, it's going to be fun to watch this year. I mean, not trying to dog anybody, but that's what Isaiah Satano is supposed to be, that quick, speedy guy that could take it to the house anytime.
No, he was Mr. Fair Catch.
That, and, had a problem holding on to the ball last season when he did catch the ball.
That's fine. Oklahoma can have fun.
Hey, I did a crossover piece with him. He's probably going to play a little, quite a bit over there too.
I'm sure,
because their wide receiver room is not great, though.
Yeah, they might be decent this year. They got a good little quarterback and running backs over there, so we'll see.
Yeah, they got a guy named Burks who is going to start ahead of him, who's really, really good. But other than that, I mean, probably Satania is either number 2 or number 3 on their, like, if you just put all the receivers up.
And what about all these guys that transferred and not even starting? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I was about to say, you kind of read my mind there, Hobbs. I was going to talk about how I saw it announced today. Malachi Singleton is the backup at Purdue.
Yep, sure is.
Wow.
All these Arkansas fans calling for him to be the starter last year, and he transfers and doesn't even win the starting job at Purdue.
Yep. I saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, I hate it for him because I liked him and I think he could be a good quarterback.
Great guy, not dogging him as a person, but
yeah, but like for all the fans, that specifically one group of people that were just doing it every single time, it makes my heart feel good. I'm not gonna lie, it feels good. Hate it for him. I think he could be good, but
yeah, he just needs the right situation. But I mean, to what you said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised to see early on in the season dark horse. Like, he might not be talking about it a ton, but if he can have the type of season that we potentially know he could, statistically shown, I would be willing to say Taylor Green's a dark horse Heisman candidate.
Well, if he has a glow up like I mean, the last time that Bobby Petrino had an athlete like him was, and I'm not saying he's the same guy, but Lamar Jackson, if he has the same type of glow up to him, he doesn't have to reach the same ungodly numbers that Jackson had, just a little bit higher up and put Arkansas within like college football playoff like range. Obviously, I think that he's going to be a dark horse candidate.
And that's the big thing is, can you yourself put up the stats, but also part of that is, can you help your team win? Can you put your team on your back and make the plays and show, all right, this is my time. Our team needs to win. I'm going to do something about it.
Did you guys see that the prediction from SEC Mike about the first 4 games of the season, and he put Arkansas as 4-0?
I did see that. I saw that, and I saw when you mentioned it too. It's like, if that truly does happen, going into that Notre Dame game, there's going to be some serious hype going into that game, and that's going to be a big game.
It's very possible because we're catching Ole Miss early, and they're not going to be rolling. They're not going to really play to anybody yet. So, I mean, we could really catch them. Kentucky did it last year to them. We could really catch them early. And Notre Dame is one of those teams, like I've always said, they're not gonna blow you out the water. So we can fight with them.
Right. And I saw, there was a list put out to we talked about the season schedule difficulty earlier in the show, but anybody that knows anybody, Kelly Ford puts out his rankings, very reputable, very consistent, but Arkansas has the toughest schedule on his top 30 of schedules.
Of course.
And some of the folks due east of us decide to say we have that tough schedule because we play Memphis this year. Somebody's a little high on the Memphis train.
I mean, part of it is, right? The big part of it is Notre Dame. Like
Notre Dame, LSU, Texas.
Right. But playing Memphis at Memphis, I'm with Hobbs. I think that's stupid. Like, I don't like, as a university, I don't know why you do it. Because I mean, Memphis is a borderline top 25 team, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't get into the first preseason AP poll, but they got a lot of votes, right? Last year they were a top 25 team, I think, at the end of the season. And they've had at least 10 wins in the last 2 seasons. So, I mean, going over into Memphis and playing them, it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but it's nothing like playing against the number 6 team in the country. Right. Yeah. But yeah.
Transplant Texas said here, too early for the Heisman talk. Let's see TG get a few games under his belt this season. The fall camp height must be proven under, in quotes or parentheses, the sunlights of regular season.
No, that's funny. But it ain't too early to talk, Texan. That's what this whole entire season's about, is talking. I'm talking about Heisman. I'm talking about national championships. I'm talking about all this stuff because I can dream, right? That might be the only time it ever happens in my dream, but I'm gonna talk about it.
Yeah. So it's gonna be fun to see right now. If you had to guess, give me your guys' top 3 guys that are at the best odds for the Heisman going into the season. Top 3.
Arch, probably.
Yeah, Arch Manning. We're gonna play one guy from Notre Dame. Love. I don't know I don't know, he's got a good running back right behind him too. So he may split a lot of the workload there. But yeah, Arch and maybe
I
Sellers.
think someone else.
And of
Lenore
course,
Sellers?
the guy from Ohio
Yeah.
State, the receiver. So,
All right, so you guys were right with Arch. He has the best odds at plus 700.
No.
Number 2, Nussmeier at LSU. They have him at plus 900 odds.
yeah, I think they're very overrated, and they might get slaughtered by Clemson right off the bat.
And I will follow that up by number 3 being Cade Klubnik at Clemson with plus 1,000.
Yeah.
Hey, Cade Klubnik, I think he's going to be good. I mean,
Got a
last
lot
year
better.
he took a huge step from last year, and he actually, he added to his game because he used to be a pocket guy with a little bit of quickness. The dude has some wheels, so he's going to be a true dual threat this year, I think. And I think Clemson may. I know that they're highly rated and all that, but I think they may surprise some people when they play these non-conference games. I probably have them beating LSU too.
People because they're going to win the ACC and be in the playoffs. So now when they get to the playoffs,
I meant like against LSU.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I think they're going to beat LSU.
Yeah.
I was about to say it is in Clemson, so
my point exactly.
I have a coworker,
not the Death Valley you think of.
I was about to say I have a coworker that's a Clemson fan, Clemson alum, that likes to say LSU gets to come to the real Death Valley, talking about Clemson. And I said, just calm down a minute. Like,
just calm down a minute.
That's a big thing. Brian Kelly called what do you call it? Baton Rouge the real Death Valley. So now that's a whole sticking point with the fans and stuff. So they're going to show out for the game. You know it.
100%.
So
that's going to be a big
fun.
one to watch.
A lot of crazy games. Ohio State, Texas plays that morning, 11 o'clock.
Why that's a morning game? Don't know. It's
probably because it's the first weekend. There's a lot of games, and they just want a big time game right there to kick it off.
Well, on top of Ohio State, Big Ten, or Big Noon kickoff, whatever they call it, isn't being flexible with it. That should be the night game 100%. But
yeah.
Anyway.
And Notre Dame plays Sunday. I can't remember who they're playing. Miami? Yeah.
Yes. They play Miami and A&M back-to-back games.
They play A&M too?
Yes.
Yeah. No, like Notre Dame's got a heck of a schedule in that first 4 or 5 games. But once they get past, pretty much once they get past Arkansas, it's smooth sailing until they get to USC. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Win your games. We get roughed up a little bit.
Yeah, so they open with Miami on the road. They have Texas A&M at home week 2, play Purdue week 3, or I guess they've got a bye week in there. So they play Miami week 1, have a bye week, then then play Texas A&M, then play Purdue, and then week 5, Arkansas. So
yeah, I hope they go in there thinking, we can just get past this, we'll be smooth sailing. That's what I'm hoping. And then they, come in against hopefully a 4-0 Arkansas team, most likely a 3-1.
Right. So, well, with that, we finished our 2025 position preview. And next week's football, boys, we'll talk a little bit about the Alabama A&M game preview and that next weekend. Not going to be a ton to talk about there. Big things we'll be talking about, looking at that week 1 depth chart for the guys that will run onto the field with the ones. That may not be the ones for the rest of the season, but we'll talk about who gets those nods for week 1 on, at least gets to be put on the ones on that depth chart. And we'll look at the odds, the scores, the predictions, things like that. Good point by Transplant Texan. Will we hear anything about the Razorback raffle? Who knows? With the way the university is. Who knows? So it's going to be fun. I'm excited. We're almost less than a week down to college football officially beginning for Arkansas fans. Games will begin this weekend. The biggest game being the game in Ireland where Florida State got embarrassed last year. This year you've got Kansas State, Iowa State, both ranked teams in the top 25. So should be an entertaining matchup. At least there's college football on Saturday, and then we get to some real football the following Saturday with a lot of big times matchups along with your Arkansas Razorbacks getting their season kicked off. So anything else from you guys before we get out of here?
No, sir. I think I'm just excited. I've said that at the beginning. I've said at the end for the last 3 episodes. I'm just getting more excited.
There you go.
You made it through the show running on low fuel.
Barely.
Yeah.
We still got a few seconds.
Yeah. Well, with that, we'll wrap up here. Everybody have a great rest of your week. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Go follow our social media pages at Hawgs on the Hill, Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky, if that's your thing. We're on across the board there. And we're going to get wrapped up here. Everybody have a great rest of your week, and we'll be back here on Sunday for our Razor recap. And then next Thursday on a Thursday show, it'll be preview time. We'll be talking about game 1. So I'm excited for it. We're going to wrap up, and we'll see you guys on Sunday for our Razor recap show.